While loading ammo for the Apache, she revealed a hidden tattoo that changed everything forever. Sarah rummaged through the dark corners of her grandfather's garage, a place filled with relics of the past. Dust motes danced in the shafts of light, flickering like the fading memories of her family's legacy. She needed to organize the display for the upcoming Veterans event, but her thoughts were interrupted when her hand brushed against the familiar textured skin. The faded tattoo on her forearm electrified her, igniting a flood of memories. Delicate lines spiraled into a heart, a tribute to her mother, the woman who had vanished when Sarah was just a child. It was hidden, covered by years of neglect, much like the pain it represented. Years of hurt flooded back unanswered questions and feelings of abandonment that had shaped who she was today. As Sarah held the edge of the dusty table, her chest tightened. She glanced over her shoulder, half expecting her mother to materialize out of the shadows. Instead, the only witness to this moment was the rusted bicycle leaning haphazardly against the wall, a relic from another time. Her son, Jamie, played outside, unaware of the weight of family history. Inside, Sarah's thoughts spun faster. The tattoo was more than ink. It was a symbol of loss and longing, a physical manifestation of the tears shed over years. The town, small yet fiercely protective, had always revered her grandfather, a decorated Apache helicopter pilot. His stories echoed through the diner where she worked, tales of heroism and sacrifice that hung in the air like sweet smoke from the kitchen. Suddenly, the mood shifted. The rumors swept through town like wildfire. A wealthy developer planned to tear down the community center, a sanctuary of memories and values her grandfather had instilled in everyone. The thought twisted a knife in Sarah's gut. This was not just a building, it was a heartbeat of the town. Memories of Friday night bingo and potlucks surged forth, echoing laughter and the bond of a community. The rage bubbled inside her, igniting something deep. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Determined, she reached for her phone, gathering her neighbors and friends, those whose stories intertwined with hers. A shared determination surged through the group, empowering the morning. They hammered out signs and planned protests, voices rising in unison, echoing the spirit of resilience that marked their small town. When the time came for confrontation, Sarah found herself standing amidst a sea of familiar faces. But the moment was shattered by an unexpected visit. Her mother, filled with hesitation yet resolve. The air crackled between them, heavy with unspoken words and years lost. Tensions were high. Sarah stared into the eyes of her community, who were filled with hope and fear. She stood before the developer, a mountain of corporate indifference ready to crush their home. Caught in this maelstrom, she clutched her arm, feeling the ink beneath her skin pulsing, her heart pounding in sync with the voices around her. Could she bridge the gap between her past and protect the future? Would the tattoo, once a reminder of pain, transform into a symbol of hope? The stakes had never been higher, and the time to make a stand was now. As she raised her voice to challenge the developer, Sarah felt not just the weight of her family's honor but the power of community behind her. Would she find the strength to reshape her destiny? The murmur of the crowd surged like waves against the shore as Sarah steadied herself. Each face reflected a story, a memory, an emotion, all woven together by the fabric of their town. She had expected her voice to quiver, to show signs of the fear clamoring in her throat. Instead, she took a deep breath, letting the air fill her lungs, fueling her resolve. Look around you! Sarah's voice rang out, clear and strong, surprising even herself. This isn't just a building. It's a home where we've all laughed, cried, and grown together. The crowd stirred as if they absorbed her words, but their determination was met with a blank stare from the developer. His arms crossed, a smirk playing on his lips. The disdain was palpable. He was a giant in a suit, ready to bulldoze dreams for profit. And what memories will you take with you? Sarah pressed on, urgency coloring her tone. A potluck? A child's birthday party? This center is more than bricks and mortar. It's where relationships were born, dreams kindled. It's where my grandfather's legacy lives on. As the weight of her own history washed over her, her fear melted away. Her tattoo, its ink heated by the growing fire of her spirit, felt alive. As she locked eyes with Jamie, who stood clutching a sign at the edge of the crowd, her heart swelled with the kind of hope only a mother could know. The thought of him growing up without a place to belong, a place that echoed her own childhood laughter, stirred something fierce. Do you want to live in a town with no memories? Where the past gets buried under concrete and cash? She pointed to the community center behind her, feeling the tension rise within her. Sarah wasn't just fighting for bricks, she was fighting for every child, every elderly neighbor, and every scarred war veteran who had shared their stories within those walls. A ripple of agreement surged through the spectators. They raised their signs higher, chanting together like a powerful rhythm thrumming through the air, as if the very spirit of their town had awakened. Save our center! Save our homes! But just as victory seemed within reach, a voice shattered their harmony. Sarah's mother, reappearing from the sidelines, appeared conflicted, a fortress of insecurity battling the sea of emotion around her. Sarah, her voice trembled amid the jubilant cries. Not now, Mom! Sarah shot back instinctively, feeling a mix of anger and vulnerability. She was fighting for something so much larger than herself. She didn't have time to unpack the years of hurt, the absence of a mother during pivotal moments. Please let us talk. Her mother's eyes were wide with pleading, needing a bridge back to her daughter. Talk? Sarah's voice held a sharp edge. You left me once. You can't just walk back and now and expect me to forget. The spectators caught the tension, a collective hush blanketing them. Their identities, their emotions, hung on this moment. In her heart, Sarah feared that confronting her mother might fracture her resolve. Could her childhood pain coexist with the community's fight? Silence stretched. Her mother took a step closer, revealing a sign of her own, inked on her arm, mirroring Sarah's tattoo but telling a story of its own, a binding of family and remorse wrapped in vulnerability. The stakes weren't just about a center anymore. They were about family, legacy, and the choices that shaped them. In a single moment, the future blurred, and the past threatened to surface. Could Sarah confront the pain of yesterday while holding on to the dreams of tomorrow? Would she be able to accept her mother, despite the hurt? The crowd and her heart waited, teetering on the edge of a decision that could change everything. As the tension thickened, would Sarah hold on to her anger, or could she find room for forgiveness in the fight for her home? Time slowed, and all eyes were glued to Sarah and her mother. The hum of the crowd faded to a distant echo, and the air crackled with unspoken words. Her mother's sign dangled between them, a silent testament to years of pain and missed moments. The crowd might have seen a mere interaction of two individuals, but for Sarah, it felt like a storm had erupted inside her, one that threatened to consume the fight burning in her heart. Please, her mother whispered again, her voice barely a murmur above the silent tension. You don't understand. I've made mistakes, but I'm here now. The sincerity glimmered in her mother's eyes, piercing through the anger that clung to Sarah like a heavy blanket. What do you want me to say? Sarah replied, barely filtering the bitterness. That it's all okay? That you can just come back into my life as if none of it mattered? She looked at the crowd, gauging their support, needing their energy to bolster her own. But this wasn't just about the community anymore. This was messy and complicated. She was tired of being strong. Tired of fighting alone. Did her mother's presence signify a new beginning or a distraction? At that moment, as Sarah struggled with her turmoil, she felt Jamie tugging on her sleeve. Mommy, he said softly, his small voice cutting through the weight of the world just for her. We need to stay strong. For the center. His innocence pulled at her heart, igniting a fierce protective instinct. She couldn't let their shared dreams slip through her fingers just because of old wounds. Taking a deep breath, Sarah turned back to her mother. You could have shown up before things got this bad, she said, her voice steadier now, but the hurt still lingered. I've built my walls high. Don't act shocked when they don't come down easily. She hadn't just constructed barriers around her heart, she had fortified them with pain and years of longing. Her mother's gaze softened, and she lifted her sign higher, revealing the tattoo beneath. It was not just ink, it was a symbol. A chain that linked her past to her daughter's present. I wear this to remember the love I lost, and the blame I carried. I didn't want to hurt you, Sarah. I was lost, but I'm trying to find my way back, one step at a time. The crowd shifted, murmurs rising like tiny waves crashing around them. Sarah's heart pounded. Would they accept this as part of her fight? With every passing moment, she could feel the battle within her intensify, the desire to forgive wrestling against the instinct to protect herself. Could she truly let her mother in again? Maybe, Sarah began hesitantly, feeling the weight of those around her. Maybe I need to know what you've learned. If you can show me that you're here for me now, I might be able to listen. But we first have to save our center. The words flowed out, a fragile truce hanging in the air between unresolved wounds and new beginnings. The crowd exploded into cheers as they moved closer, encouraging her. Yet, Sarah felt a swell of uncertainty. Victory was important, but so was healing. Could she make room for her mother's remorse in the middle of all this chaos? With Jamie at her side, staring up at her with big, trusting eyes, she realized the fight wasn't just about saving a building. It was about rebuilding bridges too. As she turned back to the crowd, determination bubbled in her chest. Let us save our center. Not just bricks and mortar, but the stories too. And maybe, just maybe, I can learn to save the lost pieces of my heart as well. But as applause erupted from the gathered townsfolk, Sarah could not shake the anxious flutter deep within her, a mix of hope and doubt. Would she find the strength to mend her past while fighting for her future? The question hung heavy in the air as the crowd continued to chant, fueled by her resolve, but the uncertainty of the next step loomed larger. What if mending her family fractured her community? The battle for more than just walls had only just begun. As the crowd's cheers echoed through the air, Sarah felt a strange mixture of power and vulnerability wash over her. The applause was thunderous, yet it felt distant. It was as if she was standing on the edge of a vast canyon, looking down but unable to make the leap. Everyone saw her as a warrior, but deep inside, she was still a girl battling the ghosts of her past. Jamie squeezed her hand tighter. His warmth sparked a flicker of hope in her chest. Are we going to save the center, Mommy? He asked, his wide eyes shining with excitement. Yeah, buddy, we are. Sarah glanced at her mother, who stood there with a fragile yet determined expression. Maybe there was a sliver of understanding in those eyes, a chance to find common ground. But that tether of hope was shaky, and she could feel the rumbles of doubt below. The crowd roared again, rallying around her newfound conviction, yet Sarah fought hard to keep her focus steady. I need to talk to you, Mom, right now. The words slipped out, creating a momentary hush that settled over the crowd. All eyes shifted. Okay, her mother stepped closer, vulnerability etched on her face. What do you need to say? Sarah hesitated. I want to know what it is you've been doing all these years. How did you end up leaving us? Why did you stay away? Each word felt heavy, like rocks tumbling down a slope, uprooting emotions she had buried. I never wanted to go, her mother began, her voice trembling. Life got complicated, mistakes piled up, and I thought leaving was the solution. I was wrong. I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me? Sarah's heart raced, not in anger but disbelief. You weren't there, Mom. You didn't protect me, you vanished. The air grew thick as her mother blinked back tears. I see that now. I can't change the past, but I want to. But what you want doesn't take away the hurt, Sarah interrupted, her voice rawat. That moment, Jamie broke the tension with a soft, innocent question. Can we still save the center? Surprised, Sarah knelt down, bringing herself eye to eye with him. Yes, sweetheart. We're going to do everything we can. She turned back to her mother. But Mom, if you want to be part of this of my life, you need to show me you understand what you've done. I'll do whatever it takes, her mother said, her voice steadying. I'll fight for you in that center. I'll show you I can help rebuild what has been broken. The crowd began murmuring again, re-energized by the exchange. Down the line, they wanted to see that mother-daughter bond rekindled as much as Sarah needed to heal. Yet the fear creeping through Sarah's heart made her body tense. "What if I can't trust you?" she whispered, glancing around at faces filled with empathy, scattered glimmers of hope pushing her onward. "What if this is just another false start?" Her mother stepped closer, lowering her voice. "Then we'll take one step at a time. Together. I promise." The solemn commitment hanging between them felt like an anchor, yet Sarah's internal storms surged anew. Would a single promise be enough to wash away years of pain? But as she looked around, the crowd gathered not just for a center, but for change. She realized the time for action was now. Determination blossomed, ignited by a mixture of fear and courage. Just as she started to address the crowd again, a shadow loomed on the periphery. It was a figure Sarah recognized all too well. Crossing her arms, she felt the air thicken as reality caught up to her. Her father had just entered the scene, a ghost from her past she wasn't ready to confront. The sense of unease crawled up her spine. What would he want? Would this push her even further from the fragile hope she was trying to build? Every heartbeat echoed her trepidation, one chapter closing, while another just opened what was about to unfold now. Sarah's instincts kicked in, her heart thundering as she locked eyes with her father. He stepped forward, his presence like an unwanted cold draft sweeping through the warm crowd. The cheers that had filled her with power now felt like an echo of uncertainty. Would he disrupt everything she'd just begun to build? "Sarah," he called, his voice a mixture of authority and something almost pleading. "Can we talk?" The familiarity of his voice, once comforting, now grated against her nerves. "Talk?" she echoed, her throat tightening. "After all these years, now you want to talk?" He glanced at Jamie, who stood confused, his small hands still clutching Sarah's. "I just want to explain." "I explain?" she interrupted, anger rising. "You don't get to explain now. You left, just like Mom did. You don't get to pick and choose when to be a father." Every pair of eyes in the crowd turned toward her father, awaiting his response, sensing the tension that crackled in the air. Her mother stood a few feet back, torn between them, her face contorted in regret. "Sarah, please," he pleaded as he raised his hands, almost as if he were trying to catch the words in the air, willing them to be enough. "I never meant to hurt you. I've changed. I want to be part of your life now." Her eyes narrowed, challenging him. "You really think a few words can fix everything? Do you even understand what you've put me through?" "I know I can't fix the past," he admitted, the weight of regret heavy on his shoulders. "But I want to try and make it right." The crowd murmured, emotions swirling. A fire burned in her chest, and she couldn't hold back the flood of feelings. "You're not the only one who gets to try. You weren't there to see what your absence did to me. You just abandoned me, us." Jamie looked back and forth between them, his small face scrunched up with confusion and fear. "Mommy, is Grandpa coming back?" At that moment, Sarah's heart crumbled. She knelt again, wrapping her arms around Jamie, who was bewildered by the confrontation. "I don't know, honey. But we will figure this out together." Her father took a step closer, his pained expression softening. "I'd like to meet him. I'd like to be part of his life." The sincerity in his voice momentarily dropped the anchor of anger Sarah held. She caught a glimpse of the man who used to dance with her, full of laughter. But the laughter had long since faded, replaced by memories of isolation and sorrow. "Why should I believe you?" she questioned, her voice shaky yet firm. "Why should Jamie believe you?" "Because I'm here," he said simply, his eyes pleading with clarity. "And I want to be different." A hot tear slipped down Sarah's cheek. She brushed it away angrily as she stood tall. "Talk isn't enough. You need to show me. Show him. That's the only way. I want to expose him to more hurt." As the crowd shifted uneasily, Sarah searched their faces. Some looked hopeful, others skeptical. Jamie finally spoke, his voice tiny yet courageous. "Can we still save the center?" The confidence in his question bolstered her shaken spirit. She turned to her father, searching his gaze for anything that resembled commitment. "If you want to be in our lives, you better be ready to prove it," she said, her words steely. "Not just with words, but actions." He nodded, a flicker of determination shining through. "Okay," he said. "Whatever it takes." Her breath caught in her throat as the weight of their collective pain lingered in the air. She could feel the weight of their future hanging in the balance. As Sarah looked around the crowd, energy shifting again, she realized the fight for the center wasn't just about the space. It was about building something solid and trustworthy anew. But even as she pulled herself together, she sensed another storm brewing. Behind her father loomed shadows of the past, old friends, old enemies. Unfinished business beckoned. With the echoes of hope swirling in the air and the undercurrent of unspoken fears, one thought hung heavy: could she really heal from all this? Just as she began to speak to the crowd again, another familiar face emerged from the sea of people, one that brought with it a chilling sense of dread. A face she thought she'd never see again, her childhood nemesis, ready to stoke the fires of her unresolved conflicts. What had she stepped into now? Sarah's breath hitched in her throat as she took in the approaching figure. It was Rachel, her former best friend turned adversary. The crowd around her shifted uneasily, the energy crackling with tension. Sarah's heart raced, her pulse quickening as she faced the girl who once held her secrets and shared her dreams, now transformed into someone who felt like a stranger. "Sarah," Rachel called out, a mix of confidence and defiance in her voice. The words seemed to slice through the air. "It's been a long time." "You could say that," Sarah replied, forcing her voice to stay steady. She was acutely aware of her father's presence, still looming, still wanting her acceptance. Rachel's gaze flicked to Jamie, who clutched her hand tightly, sensing the shift. "Is this who you've been hiding behind? Your son?" She laughed, but it held no warmth. Sarah squared her shoulders, a wall of protection forming around her as she instinctively pulled Jamie closer. "What do you want, Rachel?" "Oh, I just couldn't stay away from this little reunion," Rachel said, scanning the crowd, her smirk almost mocking. "Seeing the prodigal father return, it's rich, isn't it? Don't make this harder than it has to be." Sarah snapped, frustration boiling beneath the surface. She didn't want Rachel's barbs cutting through the already delicate moment with her father. Rachel stepped forward, her eyes gleaming mischievously. "You should be careful who you trust, Sarah. The past doesn't just disappear, you know. It can come back and bite you when you least expect it." Her words hung in the air, intimidating yet enticing. Questions shot through Sarah's mind. What was she referring to? What dark memories did Rachel want to dredge up? Instead of answering, Sarah took a small step back, feeling her father's eyes burn into the back of her head. But she couldn't break her gaze from Rachel's. She had memories that threatened to unravel everything she had worked so hard to establish: her community work, her son's future, her peace of mind. "Rachel," Sarah said, her voice a low growl, "whatever you think you know, it's not that simple. Isn't it? You've made quite a life here, haven't you? But you're still that scared little girl who used to run away. I know you, and I know your weaknesses." Jamie's small voice broke through the tension. "Mommy, who is she?" Sarah turned to him, trying to mask her frustration with a smile. "Just a former friend," she replied, clenching her jaw. "Someone from my past." Rachel took a step closer, a glint of triumph in her eyes. "Oh, but friends are supposed to stick together through thick and thin. That's not what you did, remember?" A wave of anger surged within Sarah. This was about more than just Rachel. It was about reclaiming her narrative, about standing firm in her decisions. She would not let Rachel's taunts push her into a corner. "Whatever you think you know, Rachel, it doesn't matter anymore. I'm not that girl anymore, and I refuse to let you drag me back," she declared, her voice strong and clear. The whispers in the crowd were now more pronounced, uncertainty echoing around her. Rachel's expression morphed, her masked by anger. "What, you think you can erase the past? Pretend it never happened?" "No," Sarah said. "But I can choose how it affects my life now. I won't let it control me." Her father finally broke his silence. Sarah's right. We all have the power to change, to grow. Is that so? Rachel shot back, turning her focus momentarily onto him. Then where were you when she needed you? An uncomfortable silence fell over the crowd as Sarah felt her father's presence slip slightly. The weight of Rachel's words sank in, silencing the murmurs around them. For a heartbeat, Sarah caught her father's gaze, searching for the assurance she so desperately needed. But the shadows of doubt clung tightly to the air. As Rachel stepped back, a satisfied grin on her face, Sarah knew the confrontation wasn't over. She had ignited something within herself but also awakened an old, raw fear. And then, it hit her, was she truly ready to confront not just Rachel but everything that came with her? Before she could dwell on the thought, a distant shout interrupted, pulling the crowd's eyes toward the back of the plaza. Voices rose in alarm. Something was unfolding, and it was chaotic. "Sarah!" her father called out, breaking through her turbulent thoughts. A sense of urgency pulsed through her. She needed to focus. But internally, the storm raged, old wounds, fresh dangers, and the question loomed, would she be strong enough to face it all? The crowd moved, and as Sarah felt them push forward, she knew she had to hold on to her strength. Could she truly stand against the ghosts of her past, or would they pull her down into darkness? And then, just as she steeled herself for whatever was coming, a loud crash shattered the moment, followed by a chilling scream. Panic surged through the crowd. What had she walked into now? Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as fear cut through the chaos. Clusters of people surged forward, faces twisted in alarm, but she felt anchored by Jamie's small, warm hand in hers. "Mommy, what is happening?" he asked, his voice trembling. She crouched down to his level and tried to keep her voice calm, even though the panic around them felt suffocating. "Stay close to me, love. Whatever it is, we'll get through it together." The air felt electric. A wave of uncertainty swept across the plaza, and Sarah's gaze darted around, searching for the source of the commotion. The crowd had drawn tighter, forming a circle, and soon enough, the sounds of shouting and confusion grew sharper. Rachel, too, seemed curious despite her earlier bravado, eyes glimmering with a mixture of excitement and malice. "Looks like the show just got started," Rachel sneered, almost to herself. "Shut up, Rachel," Sarah snapped, frustration bubbling over. She had no time for Rachel's games, not now. Not when Jamie was beside her, looking to her for protection. As the onlookers parted, Sarah caught a glimpse of a scuffle just beyond the makeshift barrier they had created. Two figures were grappling, harsh words slicing through the air. A young man, someone she recognized from the neighborhood, faced an older man whose expression was an unsettling mix of anger and despair. Her heart sank. This was more than a simple argument. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed. It came from a nearby booth where people had been selling handmade crafts. The table had been overturned, scattering wooden trinkets and colorful bracelets across the ground. There were gasps, and in that chaos, Sarah felt her own resolve beginning to waver. "Take deep breaths, Jamie," she whispered, squeezing his hand reassuringly. Yet her mind raced, recalling stories of similar scenes where tensions escalated, and innocent people got hurt. Would she be able to keep Jamie safe amidst the uncertainty of it all? Before long, the fight escalated. Someone from the crowd yelled, "Enough! Stop!" But the plea was overshadowed by the roar of voices. Sarah's instinct kicked in. She had to intervene. Rising to her feet, she guided Jamie carefully behind her. "Stay back," she urged, her heart pounding fiercely. "Sarah?" Her father's voice broke through as he stepped forward, eyes wide with concern. "What are you doing? I can't just stand here. Someone has to do something," she shouted over the fray. Her own resolve surprised her. Could she really step into the fray like this? What if things spiraled out of control? Just as she took a step forward, Rachel grabbed her arm. "What are you thinking? You'll only make it worse." The intensity of her expression seemed both desperate and fierce. "We need to let them handle it. We can't." But Sarah clearly saw her chance slipping away. "No! I won't just let it happen." She clenched her jaw, Taking a deep breath, she broke free from Rachel's grip and pushed through the throngs of people. The tension weighed heavily on her, every breath filled with the thick taste of fear and urgency. It was a bizarre dance of courage, but she felt the familiar pull of the person she used to be, someone who stood tall when things got tough. And then, a shout rang out loud and clear, forceful enough to cut through the clamor. "Get your hands off him!" In that moment, Sarah's heart leaped. The voice was familiar, and as she turned, she felt her breath hitch once more. There he was, her brother Jason, stepping forward with a fierce determination in his eyes. He'd been gone so long, she thought she'd never see him again. But now, in this messy swirl of chaos, he was here. Would he help bring her back from the brink? A rush of emotions flooded through Sarah, alongside new fears. Could they face the chaos together? Would the past they shared claw its way back into their lives at this crucial moment? As Jason locked eyes with her, the weight of their shared history tugged at her heartstrings, threatening to unravel the fragile piece she'd fought so hard to build. "Sarah, get back!" he shouted, but it was too late. Everything collided. The shouting, the fear, the escalating fight, and in that moment, she knew something would change irrevocably. What had started as a simple gathering had ignited a wildfire of memories and risks. Would she stand tall beside her brother, confronting her past together, or would it pull her back into shadows she feared would drown her? In the thrumming chaos, a new voice called out, piercing the turmoil like a knife, "You think you can bury the truth forever?" The challenge hung thick in the air, and Sarah's heart raced anew. The revelation was coming. Would she be ready for whatever truth her past was about to unleash? The crowd erupted again, a human tide swirling with fear and adrenaline. Sarah felt herself drawn to that fierce energy, but it was also terrifying. She clutched Jamie's hand tighter, feeling the warmth of his small fingers against her palm. Jason pressed forward, moving like a force of nature. "Step back!" he barked at the older man, who was now trembling with rage. The young man he was grappling with appeared dazed, caught in a windstorm of emotions. Sarah's heart twisted. It wasn't just about conflict. It was about lives colliding, old grievances spilling over. The murmur of the crowd shifted, and she caught fragments of whispered conversations that danced in the air. "He deserves it. This is how we take back our streets." Her stomach churned. Rationality was fading amidst raw anger. "Stay behind me, Jamie," she urged, but he wouldn't let go. His eyes were wide, and Sarah knew he sensed the tumult brewing. This wasn't just a fight, it was something deeper. With Jason stepping fully into the fray, Sarah felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps he could defuse this explosion, but her heart sank as she remembered the last time they were together, how it ended in shadows cast by terrible choices. "Let him go!" Jason shouted again, his voice now steadier, more commanding. "You're only hurting each other." The older man stopped for a moment, surprise flickering across his face. "You don't know what this is about," he shouted, eyes darting back to Jason. "You left. You abandoned us." The accusation sliced through Sarah. Their shared past flooded her thoughts. Hadn't they all felt abandoned, in different ways? All of them carrying invisible scars. "Jason, please," she whispered, stepping closer. She didn't want him to be pulled into this spiral, yet she could feel the weight of the crowd pressing in on her, like an unyielding wall. In that moment, her brother's expression softened for a brief second, but it was quickly replaced by determination again. "We can talk about it. This isn't the way." But as words hung in the air, the crowd seemed to pulse with energy, becoming a living creature of anger and fear. Someone stepped forward, a man she didn't recognize, wearing a large jacket that flapped like a flag. The new voice, deep and powerful, echoed through the plaza. "You think you know what's right? You don't know the history here. You don't understand the pain." Sarah's heart raced, and before she could think, she found herself inching closer to Jason, feeling the familiar weight of shared blood and memories. Jamie pulled on her sleeve, still rooted, eyes darting between her and Jason, confusion etched across his small face. Within that fray, the man seemed to draw strength from the anger. "Some of us have fought hard to survive. You just come back and think you can fix this? Fix? Jason's tone had shifted. What happened to you is not my fault. We can work together, but the words buzzed under the weight of their shared history, the tensions of the past threatening to unravel everything. Sarah felt it. The echo of distant memories, the laughter that had once filled their home, the arguments that split them apart. They were all standing on the precipice of something monumental, and she knew they couldn't turn back. Enough with this. You think you can both pretend it's not happening? You're wrong. The voice from before thundered, shaking the ground beneath them. That was it, so close to the edge, that one phrase seemed like a catalyst. The crowd began to surge, a wave of emotion threatening to pull everyone under. In the chaos, Sarah's eyes locked with Jason's. Somewhere between them lay a choice, unspoken but deeply felt. Could they emerge from this stronger, side by side, or would this chaos shatter their fragile bond? Just then, a figure slipped through the crowd, heading straight toward them. A flash of something glinted in the sunlight, a tattoo, intricate and meaningful. "What is that?" Jamie whispered, voice trembling. A chilling realization washed over Sarah. The tattoo, the very symbol of the truth they had all buried. Her breaths quickened. What truth lay ahead, and would it change them forever? Could she confront both the hidden scars of their shared past and the chaos unfolding around them? Would it take everything they've faced to finally unveil the real story? The figure pushed through the chaos, the weight of the crowd parting like water for a ship. Sarah's heart raced as she caught a clearer glimpse of the tattoo, a striking symbol that seemed almost alive, pulsating with stories left untold. It was raw, the kind of mark that told of pain and resilience, a map of lived experiences etched permanently into skin. "Wait!" Jason called out, his voice slicing through the tension, eyes widening as recognition washed over his face. "Cameron?" The crowd's growl softened, transforming into a murmur as they turned their attention to the newcomer. Cameron stepped into the space between Jason and Sarah, a ghost from their past. The scar on his cheek told tales of mischief and rebellion, and now, that tattoo, its intricate lines twining around a phoenix, captured the very essence of a city yearning to rise from the ashes of forgotten battles. "Jason," Cameron said, his voice steady yet cracked with memories. "You don't get to judge what we've done. You left everything behind." An electric tension whipped around them, wrapping tighter. Jamie squeezed Sarah's hand, eyes darting back and forth, confusion gripping him. This wasn't a history lesson, this was raw and visceral. He'd never seen this side of family before. "Look, I know things are complicated," Jason started, his words heavy with the weight of old friendships. "But we can work through this." Cameron scoffed, the bitterness evident. "Work through it? You don't just stroll back and think it can all be fixed with words. You have no idea what we've faced. You abandoned us." He gestured towards the crowd, whose faces mirrored the anger and pain he'd just summoned. A shiver climbed Sarah's spine. Her brother was not just fighting for peace, he was wrestling with the ghosts of their shared youth, ancestors in their blood, rooting for a reckoning. "Cameron," she implored softly, stepping closer. "There's so much we all need to talk about. So many wounds that need healing." Cameron looked at her, eyes softening for a moment. The anger wavered, just for a breath. "Healing? You think it's that simple? I've watched lives be ruined, all because we lost our way after you left." The crowd shifted, a restless sea waiting for a storm. History was rising like a tide, ready to pull them all under. Jason's gaze swept across the faces around him, searching for a sign of support, of agreement, but all he saw were hardened expressions that suggested an unwillingness to forgive. "What do you want from us?" Jason asked, the desperation in his voice rising. "We can't undo the past, but we can build something new. No more empty words." A woman from the crowd shouted, venom lacing her tone. "You want us to believe you care? Show us." Sarah felt the air thickening like fog, each breath heavy with anticipation. It was clear, this was a reckoning, not just a fight. The crowd needed proof, tangible and real. Cameron stepped forward again, fists clenched, the tattoo glistening like a torch lighting the way through darkness. Then let us stop pretending like we can just forget. If you want to help, if you want to be a part of this community again, you have to face the truth first. The weight of those words hung between them, palpable and raw, challenging everything they thought they knew. Jamie tugged at Sarah's sleeve again, eyes wide with a mix of fear and curiosity. The past was a swirling storm that threatened to engulf them all. From across the crowd, one voice erupted with passion, capturing the urgency of the moment. Then let us build something from the ashes of this pain. But we need to understand it first. Sarah felt the resolve settle in her chest. The fire ignited around her, fueled by anger but also by hope. Could they truly rebuild from the remnants of their fractured memories? Would they come together or let the chaos unravel them? As the crowd began to roar again, filled with energy and insistence, Sarah exchanged a glance with Jason and Cameron. In that moment, they all understood. The tattoo was not just ink, it was a portal to their past, a map for their future. What would happen when they faced the truth trapped within their shared history? Would unveiling those hidden scars ultimately unite them, or would it tear them apart irrevocably? The atmosphere crackled with anticipation as Sarah stood at the center of the storm, hearts pounding, emotions flaring like fireworks ready to erupt. Jamie looked up at her, eyes full of courage and curiosity, a mirror of her own heart, as it raced against the weight of generations. Here, on this ground, the past pulsed with life. Sarah gathered herself, bracing for the merging of their narratives. "You're right, Cameron," she said, her voice steady and firm, every syllable grounding her. "If we really want to rebuild, we can't do it without recognizing the truth." The crowd nodded, murmurs of agreement rippling through like waves. One by one, those who had gathered around felt the pull of shared experiences, bonded by the blood of yesterday's pain. Jason stepped forward, camaraderie igniting a flicker of hope. "Let us not pretend we're innocent here. We've all made choices, and it's led us to this moment," he added, glancing at Cameron with a raw intensity. "But it doesn't have to end in another cycle of hurt." The crowd's tension shifted, edged with a sense of urgency, a calling to acknowledge their shared scars. An elderly woman in the front raised her hand, her voice trembling yet powerful. "I lost my husband fighting for this community while some of you were away. We've been battling hard to keep it alive. Don't let your pain tear us apart when we need to unite." Every eye in the plaza turned toward her, feeling the weight of each word. Silence settled like a soft blanket, the echoes of their histories converging. Sarah nodded, a wave of solidarity washing over her, infusing her resolve. "What we've gone through has shaped us, but it doesn't define who we can become." Cheers surged through the crowd, a collective breath igniting purpose. They needed to confront their legacy, the weight carried within them. Sarah felt a rush of courage, fueled by the very essence of the tattoo that adorned her own skin. Jamie squeezed her hand, his innocent voice breaking the thick air. "Mom, can we really build something new? Together?" "This is our chance, sweetheart," Sarah said softly, eyes sparkling with warmth, "to reclaim our stories and make them serve us, not imprison us." In that heartbeat, Cameron stepped closer, meeting Sarah's gaze. "But how? What does that look like?" Resilience filled the space as Sarah leaned into her spirit. "It starts with honesty. We face the past not to relive the pain, but to learn how to move forward." The crowd erupted in agreement. Just as Rachel's challenges hung heavy, Sarah turned to her. "What do you think, Rachel? Are you willing to step forward with us and let go of the chains of yesterday?" The resolve in Rachel's expression faltered, the earlier venom subsiding. "Maybe, but I can't just pretend everything's fine." "None of us can," Sarah returned, emboldened by their shared commitment. "But we can strive for understanding. We can learn to work together, rewrite our common story, and fight for this community, for all that these walls represent." A murmur of agreement resonated, building in strength throughout the plaza. Suddenly, Sarah felt an inexplicable surge. What started as a fight to save a building had transformed into a fight for healing, a bridge toward forgiveness. With a deep breath, Sarah turned back to the crowd, the tattoo on her forearm a constant reminder of her journey. "Let us put aside our past hurts just for today. Let us reclaim our community center, not just a physical space but a sanctuary for all stories shared within its walls. Emotions spilled forth, years of longing, anger, hurt, hope all crashing together. The crowd was captivated, hungry for a sense of unity in the chaos. Let us build the center together, Sarah shouted, a burst of energy thrumming beneath her skin. Let us create a place for potlucks, shared laughter, and memories that shape our futures. A place where children grow, the elderly reflect, and veterans find solace. The crowd responded with a deafening roar, the vibrations echoing through the streets. Yes. Together. Arms lifted high, the signs declaring their stories morphed from symbols of anger to emblems of hope. In that moment, Sarah felt a shift, not only in herself but for everyone gathered. Their hearts swelled with the realization that they could change their narrative together. A colorful tapestry of possibility unfurled before them, vibrant threads woven from shared pain and longing for connection. Then, at the edge of the gathering, her mother stepped forward, meeting Sarah's gaze with something raw vulnerability. I want to help. I can't change the past, she said, but I will work alongside you to build something new. Tears threatened the surface of Sarah's eyes as she felt the barriers begin to crumble. We'll take it one step at a time, she responded softly, her heart softened from the fire within her, letting warmth replace the years of distance. I still may be scared, Rachel admitted, her voice trembling, but I don't want to keep dragging old burdens. I want to stand here and create something better. Lifting her head high, she joined the chorus of voices raised in unity. An unstoppable force surged through the crowd as they shouted in agreement. Each chant energized the air around them, igniting something deeper burning within their collective hearts. Warmth and acceptance blanketed the space. Finally, one voice rose above the rest: Sarah's brother. Let us put aside the differences. Let us honor our past but not be shackled by it. Our spirits are like that tattoo, they are marked yet beautiful, filled with stories waiting to emerge. The crowd erupted again, stronger this time, invigorated by hope and the promise of change. Body and spirit entwined, the energy showered over everyone. Past grievances began to unfurl like the banners around them, swirling and intertwining into something grand. As the sun began to set, it cast a golden hue upon the crowd, illuminating faces filled with determination. Sarah breathed deeply, the weight of years warmer now, transformed by the light of truth. Together they would save the center and also heal the fractures within themselves. Remember this moment, she said, inspired. We are here not just for a building, but for each other, forging a future that embraces both our struggles and hopes, side by side. The words hung in the air, binding them with unbreakable threads, etching new stories into their hearts. And in that shared triumph, Sarah knew this was merely the beginning, not just for a community center but for their kinship and resilience. As she beheld Jamie's trusting gaze, she felt the fierce warmth of hope blossom within, a promise not just to stand strong but to forge paths of understanding, bridge gaps of pain, and build a future unshackled by the burdens of their past. This was their time. Their transformation. As they chanted in unison, the echo of their voices rang loud and clear. Together we rise. And what had started as a fight began to morph into a revolution of love, healing, and unity. If you felt the passion, the emotion, the thrill of togetherness in this story, then here's what you need to do now. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will ignite your spirit. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, showing your support for uplifting content that matters. Comment below with your heartfelt reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice matters. And don't you dare wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans understand how vital your support is. You are part of this journey. Let us rise together.